The scorching twin suns of Zerion Prime beat down mercilessly on the cracked, dusty ground as Commander Adnan Hassan wiped sweat from his brow. His exploration team had been stranded on this dying world for 3 days after their ship's navigation system failed, and the landscape painted a picture of ecological collapse that made his heart ache. Dr. Diana Reeves, the mission's xenobiologist, knelt beside what had once been a riverbed, now nothing more than a canyon of hardened clay. "The atmospheric readings confirm it," she said, her voice heavy with scientific detachment that couldn't quite mask her emotion. "This planet is in terminal drought. The last of their water reserves disappeared decades ago." Adnan nodded grimly, scanning the horizon through his tactical visor. The indigenous Zerathi settlements were barely visible in the distance, small clusters of makeshift shelters that seemed to shrink a little more each day as families migrated toward the dying oasis at the planet's northern pole. It was then that they heard the soft patter of bare feet on stone. A small Zerathi child, no more than 7 years old by human standards, approached them cautiously. His pale blue skin was marked by the telltale signs of chronic dehydration, and his large amber eyes held a wisdom far too ancient for his years. The child's thin frame was draped in tattered cloth that had once been colorful, but now bore the dust of 1,000 desert storms. "Strangers from the sky," the child said in heavily accented but surprisingly clear Standard Galactic. "You look tired." Diana's breath caught in her throat. In all her years studying alien civilizations, she had rarely encountered such direct kindness from a species meeting humans for the first time. "We are," she admitted softly, "but we'll manage." The child nodded solemnly, then reached into a small pouch at his side. With trembling hands, he produced a fruit no larger than an earth apple. Its skin wrinkled and clearly past its prime. But in the context of this dying world, Adnan realized, it might well have been the most precious thing the child possessed. "This is Juraka fruit," the child explained, offering it to Adnan with both hands in what seemed to be a gesture of great respect. "Last one from our family tree. Grandmother says sharing food with travelers brings good dreams." Adnan felt his throat tighten. Through his suit's environmental sensors, he could detect the child's severe malnutrition. This fruit might represent the difference between life and death for someone so small. Yet here he was, offering it freely to complete strangers. "I cannot take this," Adnan said gently, kneeling to meet the child's eye level. "This belongs to you and your family." The child shook his head with surprising determination. "Sky strangers need strength for journey home. Koro gives freely." He pressed the fruit into Adnan's gloved hands. "Is right thing." As Adnan accepted the gift, feeling the weight of such profound generosity, something shifted in his chest. He looked at Diana, who was staring at the exchange with tears in her eyes, and saw his own resolve reflected in her expression. "Koro," Adnan said carefully, "would you like to show us your village?" 3 hours later, Adnan stood in the center of what had once been Koro's thriving community. Now fewer than 200 Zerathi remained, their elegant tree houses empty, and their communal gardens nothing but memories etched in parched earth. The village elder, a dignified female named Scythera, who was indeed Koro's grandmother, spoke to them in measured tones about their people's slow extinction. "We have made peace with ending," she explained, her voice carrying the weight of generations. "Our world dies and we die with it. This is way of things, but Adnan couldn't accept that. Not after Koro's gift, not after seeing the quiet dignity with which these people faced their fate. That evening, as their rescue ship finally arrived, Adnan made a decision that would change everything. "Diana," he said as they prepared to board the transport, "how long would it take to get a full terraforming fleet here?" Her eyes widened. "Adnan, you can't be serious. The cost alone, how long?" Diana ran the calculations in her head, her scientific mind already racing through possibilities. "With emergency authorization, 6 months for initial atmospheric processors, 2 years for a full ocean installation, maybe 5 years for complete ecological restoration." Adnan activated his command communicator, connecting directly to Earth High Command. "This is Commander Hassan, Priority Alpha. I need to speak with Admiral Chen immediately." "Commander, you're supposed to be filing a standard exploration report." "Admiral, I'm requesting immediate deployment of Terraforming Fleet Gamma to Zerion Prime. Full planetary restoration protocol." The silence on the other end stretched for nearly 30 seconds. Commander, do you understand what you're asking? The resource allocation alone? A child gave me his last piece of fruit, Adnan interrupted quietly. His people are dying and they've never asked for anything from anyone. They deserve better than extinction. Admiral Chen's voice, when it finally came, was thoughtful. Send me your full report, Commander. And the biological surveys. If Dr. Reeves confirms the species is worth saving. They are, Diana interjected, her voice firm. The Zerathi have developed sustainable agriculture techniques that could revolutionize farming across the galaxy. Their philosophical frameworks have produced zero violent crime for over 3 centuries. And, Admiral? She paused, looking at Koro, who was watching their rescue ship with wonder rather than envy. They're the most genuinely kind people I've ever encountered. 6 months later, Adnan stood once again on Zarian Prime, but now the ground beneath his feet was soft with new grass. Atmospheric processors hummed in the distance, their steady work already showing results in the form of clouds gathering on the horizon. The sound of construction echoed across the plains as automated systems worked around the clock to dig the channels that would soon carry water from the new polar ocean to every corner of the continent. Koro, now healthier and wearing clothes provided by the human relief effort, ran up to them with undisguised joy. Commander Adnan! Dr. Diana! The water makers are singing. Diana laughed, kneeling to hug the boy. That's just the sound they make when they're working, Koro. In another year, you'll have rivers running right through your village. And the tree seeds you brought? Koro asked eagerly. 3 new forests, Adnan confirmed, planted with earth trees that will grow alongside your native species. Your great-grandchildren will climb trees that stretch to the sky. As if summoned by their conversation, Cythera approached, moving with the energy of someone who had rediscovered hope. Sky friends, she said, using the formal address the Zerathi had adopted for their human benefactors. Our people struggle with words for gratitude of this size. Adnan shook his head. We're the ones who should be grateful. Your grandson taught us something important about generosity. He pulled the preserved Jaraka fruit from his pack, the very same one Koro had given him months ago. I've been carrying this with me as a reminder that sometimes the smallest acts of kindness can change everything. Koro's eyes went wide. You kept it? I kept it, Adnan confirmed. And now I'd like to plant it in your new garden if you'll let me, so future generations of Zerathi will know that their kindness literally moved worlds. As the first drops of rain began to fall from Zarian Prime's newly formed clouds, Adnan realized that humanity had gained something even more valuable than a new ally or trading partner. They had learned that sometimes the greatest strength wasn't in their technology or their fleets, but in recognizing goodness when they found it and having the power to nurture it. The ocean would be complete within the year. The forests would take root and flourish. But the real transformation had already happened, in the heart of a child who gave freely and the humans who chose to give back 1,000-fold. In the end, that was what made humanity special in the galaxy. Not their weapons or their ships, but their capacity to recognize something worth saving and their determination to save it no matter the cost.